Wandering Winder back with the next in the series on openings in Dominion. Today I want to look at Sinister Plot, this four-cost project, which I'm going to leave on screen for a bit. Um, Either you build up tokens to draw, or you draw equal to the number of tokens you've built up at the start of every turn, starting after the turn you buy it. Um, yeah, can be quite powerful opening. There's two main things to think about with Sinister Plot, which is 4-3 and 3-4. So we have 4-3. Let's start with 4-3. Turn 1, we get a Sinister Plot. Turn 2, we get Silver, say. I'm only going to do the math on Silver. Obviously, there could be a lot of other cards. You'd have to do a lot of thought. Now, on turn 3, we're either going to hit 5 or not. If we don't hit 5 on turn 3 naturally, we can draw. Whatever amount of money we have right now, we will either hit 5 this turn or we will hit 5 next turn if we draw. Because there's 11 cards in deck. If we draw right now, we will draw 6 cards this turn and 5 cards next turn. There is no way of splitting up your 11 cards into 6 and 5 with 9 money in your deck that doesn't hit 5 at least one of the turns. In fact, exactly one of the turns. So, if you always draw on turn 3, if you've opened Sinister Plot on turn 1 and gone Silver on turn 2, you will hit 5 once in turn 3 or 4. Now, having said that, you don't always want to draw right now. So, depends on what your hand looks like on turn 3. If your goal is to just hit 5 here, first of all, if you have 3 estates in your hand, you will 100% to hit 5 on turn 4 without drawing right now, because there's only cards that make treasure, right? There's no way of having a hand with no estates in it that doesn't make 5. So you would only draw now if you have, say, 2 money and you really want to hit 3. But in a lot of cases, you would rather save the token and then on turn 4, save the token again, buy a 5 cost, and then look to take your draw, what I'm going to call popping your plot, on turn 5 or later. So that's one thing. You get a bigger draw the longer you wait, basically, right? You end up with more overall draw the more turns you don't take the draw, because the more turns you don't take the draw, the more turns you're building up to draw cards. So anyway, um, so in that case, you probably wouldn't want to draw. Also, if you hit 5 on turn 3, there's then, no need to draw then. So actually, 34.8% of the time you hit 5 naturally. And then it's only a small fraction of the time that you have 3 estates in your hand. So it's like under half, but not that far under half the time, you will be able to just totally guaranteed hit 5 and not have to pop on turn 3. However, you can also take the risk in some cases of being able to hit 5 without popping your plot on turn 3, right? There's some chance that in a hand like this, I'm going to hit 5 next turn anyway. So I can try to not pop my plot now and then hit 5 next turn without popping the plot and buy it. Or if I fail, I couldn't still pop plot next turn and hit 5 that way. Although that would trigger a shuffle, which might not be the best timing on that shuffle to trigger. So that's something to consider. So in this particular hand, I have silver, copper, copper, estate, estate. I am only 1/6 to hit 5 next turn without popping the plot. I'd probably just go ahead and pop it now so that the 5 cost is in my deck before I shuffle. However, if I would have copper, 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 estate, estate, right? If this silver wasn't a silver and was a copper instead, I'd be 5/6 to hit 5 next turn. I very well might add the token and buy a 2 cost or 3 cost and hope to hit that 5/6 chance next turn. If I had 4 coppers in an estate, right? If this silver and this estate were 2 coppers instead, then I'm a third. So it's a little better than now, but I'm probably popping again. So I probably only make the play where I am trying to pop on turn 3 like this, or where I'm not popping on turn 3 like this, and uh, either when I have 3 estates in hand, so I'm guaranteed to hit 5 next turn. If I have 5 on turn 3, in which case there's not much reason to pop, unless I'm trying to hit 6, I guess. Although I don't know that that is really a plan I'd be going for. You'd have to look at your situations there. I haven't mathed it out. Or if I have that 3 copper double estate hand, that 5-6 chance looks kind of juicy to me. And I'd probably go for it in a lot of cases there, although sometimes I just really want to be sure and I'd pop the plot anyway, depending on the 5 cost and what the rest of the texture of the board looks like, right? If I want to get a 5 and a 4 anyway, then popping now might be quite a reasonable thing to do on copper, 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 estate, estate, because you're probably hitting 5 and 4 then. The only way you wouldn't is if you drew exactly the last estate. Now, there's also 3-4 to think about. So let's talk about that. Eventually, if I keep skipping turns, we'll get 3-4. So here, if you go silver plot, once again, you can guarantee hitting 5 on, well, effectively what would be turn 4 by popping the plot. But there's not too much, again, because on turn 4, you can pop the plot, and then you're going to draw a card. I'm going to draw the 6 cards here, and I hit 5 for sure. There's no decisions to make in this case. There's nothing fancy. You can see on turn 4, do I hit 5? Have I hit 5 without popping, or have I not? And make your decision then. You can just figure it out, right? Oh, in this case, I need to draw the card to hit 5, so I will. And that's all there is to it. But you are still, it's a little bit worse because, just later on, whatever, it tends to be a bit worse. But you can still guarantee hitting 5 because you can pop it on turn 4 and hit 5 by opening silver plot. So yeah, Sinister plot is something that I like opening quite often, particularly on turn 1, but also on turn 2 if I have 3-4 or 4-3 especially. Yeah, it's a pretty good opening. Thanks for watching.